I survived my 4th Baja 1000. Team Taco went down there.
The Baja 1000 is one of the most insane, crazy, grueling races that there are, in my opinion.
It's 1,000 miles across a Mexican desert with rules, but there are no rules.
We got an RV stuck in a sand pit in the middle of the night before we were supposed to get in the car.
Just to finish is amazing. This is the first year that we didn't finish, and it was because our motor expired.
Will and I were stuck in the middle of the desert. You don't even realize that places like this exist on the earth. The engine blows up, we're stuck out in the middle of the desert, just Will and I. Finally, our chase car pulls up. To kind of lighten up the mood, I decided that I'd do a little car maintenance or car cleaning.
It doesn't rain a lot in Mexico, and when it does, it makes some serious mud.
To put it this way, every year when we jump out of that car at the end of the race, we instantly say how we're never gonna do it again. We never want anything to do with this again. It's insane that we would even think this is fun. After a couple tequilas and a taco, hours after the race, we're instantly talking about next year and how excited we are for next year's race.
One of my first priorities when I got back was to check in with everybody and see what's going on. So we had a little meeting. I kind of told the guys like it's now or never to push this thing because we really want this car done soon, mainly because I want to drive it because it's going to be amazing.
Basically, the next step from here is to very, very carefully start removing these exhaust tubes one at a time without disturbing them. The tricky thing is getting them out without twisting them at all. So what I'm gonna have to do is actually make a line down each tube that kind of shows me exactly the orientation of each one. We're gonna transfer them over to stainless steel.
While Brew has been, again, working on the headers, Kim has also been working on getting the rear seat delete pretty much wrapped up. He's got the brackets finalized. It's pretty much in his permanent location now.
We had to make sure that the electronics were going to fit in the car. We have to get this all lined up so that we're not waiting for things. So as we're going back and forth between the headers and the electronics, again, all this stuff's happening in the background, and now I can really see it kind of coming together.
The Turner Corn M3 is coming along, and it's cool to continue with all the progress and see all the stuff going on.
Although this is a street car, it's a high-performance street car, and we're going to have the opportunity to use a lot of cool parts from manufacturers that actually make stuff from our race cars.
I just got a peek at the headers, kind of finished, and they look amazing. That is a really crucial part and a really cool part, in my opinion. I mean, you know, headers are a work of art, and these definitely are a work of art.
Stick blocks kind of allowed us to build the headers, but not permanently. Basically, I began transferring the plastic to metal. It's a lengthy process. It's pretty time-consuming. We break down each one of these headers into bends. So you basically like separate it. You have to label each piece individually, and then you take this, you match it up to a piece of stainless bend in the correct radius. Cut it to length. There's a lot of tweaking with the bandsaw and the belt sander. And then once that's done, you assemble it, tack weld it together. Right now it's all actually been tacked together and it's ready for the next step. Here is fitting it into the car, make sure it actually still fits.
Brew and Lucas have been working really hard on getting these things together so that we can get them into the car. If some one piece to another didn't line up properly, that puts your butts for the metal off-centered, which makes then the welding process a little bit more challenging, which then makes the welds look worse. So really having to take your time to make sure that everything lines up properly just makes your welding so much better.
You know, they've been done in such a way, and Brew and all the guys have put so much time and effort into these. It allows a lot of the functionality and serviceability and all the things that you would want out of a factory M3.
Just the stainless steel alone has been, I would say, probably the last 8 days straight. I've been like seeing headers in my sleep.
Although I have been accused of napping upstairs in my office, I've actually been really busy working on getting parts from some vendors that we've worked with for a long time. H&R has been a sponsor and a supporter of Turner Motorsport since 1995 or 1996 when we first started doing this. So they were one of my first calls when I told them what I was going to build and what we needed. Speaking of suspension, Öhlins is actually a product that we use in our race car, and Öhlins is a damper. And we're going to take some of the technology that we have in our M6 and our M4, and we're going to put it into the Turnicorn. I've literally been talking to Liqui-Moly over tacos, and we've been talking about what they can do for this project, because we will have some concerns about temperature of some of the components, because we are packing a lot of horsepower into a place that wasn't originally designed for that. Another call that I had was with the guys at Brembo, and they had just the solution to make sure that our car will be able to stop just as well as it can accelerate. So I'm looking forward to working with Brembo again. So I'm super excited about taking some of the products that we actually race with and putting them into the street car, because again, this is a high performance street car and we want the best products that we can have. One of the most important things for this car is to integrate the electronics. Reliability is number one, because if the car doesn't start or fails to keep running, performance doesn't matter, right? Getting the aftermarket electronics to integrate with a factory system, and in this case we're using a Motec. And a Motec is a standalone engine management system that we've used in our race cars for years. Not only does it need to work correct and everything to work right, but we also need to package it correct, and we need to make it look like BMW did this. And that's one of the challenges that we're going to have, is putting all this cool stuff in this small space.
So we received the whole wiring harness for the engine. We went to somebody who has already done a E46 S65 chassis harness integration. Tyler built us this harness that connects the engine to the E46 chassis. Basically what he did is he took the original engine harness from the S65 engine, and he basically modified this in order to run it with a Motec engine management, a standalone engine management. This is the ABS pump. This is the factory bracket for the ABS pump, and then this is a bracket that I made to hold the Motec here. This was pretty hard. I had to kind of just stare at this thing for about an hour to even figure out how the heck I was going to do it. A couple of these pieces I had to make multiple times just to get to fit.
So Brew, the most meticulous guy we have at the shop. I mean, his tools are all lined up and they're organized perfectly. And as you can see by the Turnicorn build, like everything has to be like perfect. And of course, that's what I want. So I go and borrow the guy's truck, expecting the same thing. And I get in the truck and it is a banana peel on the ground. It is Dunkin' Donuts lids and cups all over the place. This truck is trashed. Very unlike what I would expected from to see from Brew, but he must, when he punches out, he must turn into a different guy or something.
What I've been working on is basically putting this into the car, which is a bit of a challenge because we have very limited space. The power supply for the engine management. These are the ignition coil drivers. They get very, very hot. We actually have these heat sinks that are actually a GM part that just happen to work. This actually has to sit here. I started with the bracket for the Motec because that's kind of the brain of the whole thing. This was actually extremely tricky because it kind of has to fit in a super specific location, and these cutouts have to be perfectly made for these Autosport connectors. And then I made the ignition igniter mounting plate, which is this one. That one was very tricky too because it has to be spaced off of the firewall to give it space for airflow so that it can actually stay cool. And finally, I made this piece, which is holding the relays and the fuses for the engine management. This one was also really tricky because I needed to make it in a way that allowed it to be serviceable. Say you blow a fuse, you don't want to have to pull all this stuff out. So it actually has a slide-in mount here at the bottom. probably gonna have to work on this a little bit, but give it these mounting points so that we can make a flat plate to sit on top.
Kim has also been working on getting the rear seat delete pretty much wrapped up. He's got the brackets finalized. It's pretty much in his permanent location now. So now we gotta get a hold of the upholsterer and make sure that he has the selection picked out for the Alcantara that we're gonna be using. So I'll go visit him, check to see what material he has, make sure that it's gonna work in contrast to the other parts of the car already has. We've gotta get some of those metal trims, either anodized. We're not sure quite how we can put the finish on those, but we'll get those details figured out soon. But yeah, it's gonna be wrapped up pretty quick.
So it looks amazing. If this was a race car, I'd probably keep it in carbon. But even if you paint the brackets or anodize the brackets black, it's not going to look like BMW did that. Although the fit came out really well. The fit and finish came out really well on that. So I think we got to stick with the original plan and cover it with the Alcantara stuff to match the other parts.
With the engine installed, we can now really get the radiator support, all the cooling system pieces fitted around it. The AC is a big one. With the engine being installed, we'll be able to put the AC compressor installed, start mocking up where the lines are gonna go.
The guys really are going every little bit of the way to make sure that this car is how it would come off the assembly line in Germany. I'm proud to be working with these guys because they've been doing amazing work.